These are examples of security issues in the Asia-Pacific region. As shown on this screen, North Korea has been developing capabilities related to ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons. The Korean people, a people of the same ethnicity, remain divided on the Korean peninsula. Recently, North Korea is said to have caused a cyber attack to the private company in the United States of America. Such North Korea trends constitute a destabilizing factor to the regional security. In addition to military modernization, China has been rapidly expanding and intensifying its maritime activities. In the East China Sea, China has intruded into Japanese territorial waters by its government ships and has established the East China Sea Air Defense Identification Zone, AGIS, based on its own assertion, thereby infringing the freedom of overflight over the high seas. In this way, China is attempting to unilaterally change the status quo through coercion in order to ensure control over natural resources and security. In fact, China has implemented unilateral maritime activities since 70 years ago. In 1947, China set the 9-dotted line at South China Sea suddenly and without any objective evidence. Since then, China has begun to claim maritime rights and interests almost all over the South China Sea, especially every time a previously dominant country such as France, United States of America, or the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics withdrew and a power vacuum occurred, China has opportunistically moved to claim the territorial rights. An example of that China's tactics. Some Chinese pretending to be fishermen to occupy the islands first. And after that, they try to secure the control of the whole area. In addition, China is building a large reclaimed island at fairly close reef and constructing military facilities such as runway and harbor rapidly. In this way, China has sought to change the status quo by force or coercion in South China Sea. In addition, Office of the United States Navy Intelligence also make a detailed explanation about the China's claims and activities in South China Sea by video. In the East China Sea, as soon as the United Nations Economic Commission for Asia and the Far East, ECAFE, which we call, published a report that there was a possibility that valuable offshore resources lay around the Senkaku Islands. China started to claim the territorial rights over the Senkakus. Also, China suddenly started to conduct maritime research and to construct an offshore oil rig. Since ownership of the Senkakus was transferred to the government of Japan in September 2012, the number of Chinese Coast Guard ships intruding into Senkaku waters has been dramatically increasing. And finally, China violated Japanese airspace with a Chinese marine surveillance aircraft in December 2012. This is how China has repeated its pattern to attempting to change the status quo by force or coercion in the East China Sea, very similar to what it has done in the South China Sea. Next, I'd like to introduce Japan's national security policy and defense policy. Japan has consistently followed the path of a peace-loving nation since the end of World War II. Japan has maintained its security and contributed to peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region by enhancing its alliance with the United States of America, with which it shares universal values and strategic interests, as well as by deepening cooperative relationship with other countries. Here are Japan's intentions and the approach. Japan has contributed to the realization of stability and prosperity in the international community through initiatives for supporting the economic growth of developing countries and for addressing global issues based on the principle of human security. In addition, Japan has consistently engaged in disarmament and non-proliferation efforts, playing a leading role in international initiatives to realize a world free of nuclear weapons. Moreover, Japan has been cooperating with the United Nations and other international organizations and has actively contributed to their activities. In particular, Japan has continuously participated in United Nations peacekeeping operations, PKO, as the role of military forces diversified after the end of the Cold War. In the 21st century, we are facing rapidly changing global power balance, technological progress, and emerging threats like weapons of mass destruction, proliferation, terrorism, or cyber attacks. Particularly, security environment has become even severer in East Asia. Japan is expected to play more active role in international community, and no nation can maintain its own peace and security alone. Based on this, we contribute even more proactively in securing peace, stability, and prosperity of the international community while achieving its own security as well as peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region as a proactive contributor to peace based on the principle of international cooperation. In July 1st, in 2014, the government of Japan made a cabinet decision on the basic policies on development of seamless security legislation. Based on the cabinet decision, further deliberation was made within the government and between the ruling parties, and the government of Japan submitted the bill for the development of legislation for peace and security to the Diet on May 14th this year. After deliberation in the Diet, the bill was approved on September 19th this year. Again, we continue to maintain peaceful orientation and contribute even more proactively in securing peace, stability, and prosperity of the Asia-Pacific region and international community as a proactive contributor to peace. Our national interest and national security objectives are shown on the screen. Japan's national interests are maintaining its sovereignty and independence, achieving the prosperity of Japan and its nationals, and maintaining and protecting international order based on the rules and universal values. In order to safeguard these national interests, we will seek to achieve the following national security objectives: strengthening the deterrence or prevent capability, improving the security environment of the Asia-Pacific region, and improving the global security environment. Next. According to our national security strategy, our strategic approach are following the 6 points. These are first 3. First, strengthening and expanding Japan's capabilities and roles. We strengthen the diplomacy, including diplomatic creativity, negotiation power, and soft power, build a comprehensive defense architecture for responding seamlessly to an array of situations. In addition, strengthen efforts for the protection of its territorial integrity and ensure maritime security to maintain open and stable sea. Moreover, establish the principle of overseas transfer of defense equipment adapting to the new security environment. Second, strengthening the Japan and USA alliance. They elevate the effectiveness of the Japan-United security arrangements. We promote the revision of the guidelines, strengthen security cooperation such as ballistic missile defense, BMD, maritime security, outer space, and cyberspace, and steadily implement the realignment of the United States forces in Japan while enhancing deterrence of the alliance. Third, strengthening diplomacy and security cooperation with partners. We strengthen cooperation with countries sharing universal values and strategic interests, and build a relationship with other countries such as China. Next. Last 3 points. Fourth, proactive contribution to international efforts for the peace and stability. We strengthen diplomacy at the United Nations, strengthen the role of law in the international community, and lead international efforts on disarmament and non-proliferation. In addition, we promote international peace cooperation, such as capacity building assistance in security-related areas. We also promote international cooperation against international terrorism. Fifth, strengthening cooperation based on universal values to resolve global issues. We support the sharing of universal values such as freedom, human rights, and the rule of law, and cooperate in response to economic development and global issues. In addition, we lead efforts to realize human security and cooperate with human resource development efforts. Sixth, strengthening the domestic foundation and promoting domestic and global understanding. We maintain and enhance defense production and technological basis, boost capability to communicate with the world, reinforce social infrastructure, and enhance knowledge base. Next. Under the increasingly severe security environment, Japan strives to maintain its sovereignty and independence, protect its territories, secure the lives and properties of Japanese people, and maintain peace in Japan, supported by the following three pillars. First, Japan's own efforts. Given the increasingly tense security environment, Japan will efficiently develop a highly effective integrated defense force and strive to ensure operations with flexibility and readiness based on joint operations. In addition, we will build a dynamic joint defense force, placing emphasis on developing advanced technology and information command and communications capabilities and achieving readiness, mobility, flexibility, sustainability, robustness, and connectivity in terms of both tangible and intangible resources. Second, strengthening the Japan-United States alliance. Japan-United States alliance functions as a public good and contribute to the stability and prosperity not only of Japan, but also of the Asia-Pacific region and the world at large. Japan will revise the guidelines for Japan-United States Defense Cooperation, further enhance Japan-United States Defense Cooperation and reinforce the deterrence and response capabilities of the Japan-United States alliance. In addition, we will provide stable support for the smooth and effective stationing and steadily promote the realignment of United States Forces Japan.